It's Rania here, your host on The Healing Train, a podcast designed to help you lighten your load, release whatever is weighing you down, and reconnect with yourself. Whether it's a toxic relationship, childhood wounds that never healed, struggling with self forgiveness, or on a healing journey, it's time we have these uncomfortable conversations. Let's dive deep with experts and professionals in psychology, health and wellness, and alternative healing, and also ordinary people that have been there. It may just be the fresh perspective you need to support your journey. You could even be a guest on this show. This is a space for sharing stories, a safe stop where you can pause, recharge, and know you're not alone. So take a deep breath, settle in, and join me on today's ride as we explore the path to healing together. Hop on board the healing train. On the healing train today, I have someone very special, Dr. Anne Uemura. Dr. Uemura earned a PhD in clinical psychology in 1981, followed by a postdoctoral fellowship in psychiatry at UC Berkeley. She then worked at UC Berkeley's Counseling Center, the start of dedicating over 40 years to serving clients and continuing to advance her training. 5 years ago, she became a certified MAP, Make Anything Possible practitioner, further expanding her expertise in transformational healing. 8 years ago, Dr. Uemura published Listen to the Cries of Your Heart, a deeply personal account of her own inner healing journey. Through her work, she guides individuals in healing their hearts and inner childhood wounds, helping them transition toward a love that is fulfilling and spiritually enriching. Dr. Uemura's mission is to empower others to cultivate a personal relationship with love, spirit, and higher power, fostering deep emotional and spiritual transformation. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Dr. Uemura just as much as I had every minute of our interaction. People aren't only healing from trauma they endured, they're healing from the life they lived in survival mode. They're healing from the judgment of how they think and feel. They're healing from the grief of what could have been had they never been traumatized to begin with. A quote by Nate Postlewaite. And today on the show with me, I have Anne. Anne, thank you for being on the show with me.
Thank you for having me.
And I love to discuss a very important subject, which is healing our inner child. And that's kind of your specialty. And with that, I would like for you to start us off by explaining what does it really mean to heal our inner child, and why is this work so important for our emotional well-being?
That's a big story. Let's see if I can break it up into understandable pieces.
Mm-hmm.
From my point of view, we were all hurt in ways we were too young to understand what was going on. It's the kind of thing where even the best of parents couldn't be there for us 100% of the time. It could have been someone came to the door and you were left, and it wasn't a good time for you, and you cried and cried, but mother was in the other room and she eventually came. It can be as innocent as that, or it could be obvious, where parents are in so much pain and not functioning well in their life. They might be angry, screaming, not attentive to anyone. Definitely not you as a baby or a toddler or any time growing up. And the neglect that you experience feels like you were abandoned, rejected, betrayed, definitely ignored. And it's painful, especially when you're young. Mammals need their parents to care for them. And when they're not there, our heart is broken.
Mm.
And that's what the inner child really is. It's every time your heart was broken, trauma parts were created
Mm.
to help you survive. And
Mm.
all of us here talking and listening are always survivors. But we want more in life than just survival. We have different things in our lives that we struggle with. And when you come down to it, it's usually a consequence of a childhood wound. And that's why I do the work, because it's deep and so expansive that anyone can come to me with any distress, and I can help them see how this um, all resulted from experiences they don't necessarily remember.
Mm.
And that's the thing. Um, People say, well, my parents are great and my upbringing was great. There was nothing wrong.
Mm.
And yet they experience triggers,
Mhm.
the signs of the inner child, where you have chronic feelings of fear, negativity, or sadness,
Mm.
or explosive moments of bursting into tears or bursting out in anger. When I said bursting out in tears, the first time as an adult, I remember bursting out in tears was when I was saying goodbye to my parents. I had gotten married a few months before. We were in California and we were going to go to graduate school. And I was saying goodbye to my parents. And I went into the car and burst into tears.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and never realizing that I had that kind of bond with my parents
Attachment.
before, right?
Attachment.
And I was moving away from that, and
Yeah.
the sense of loss
Yeah.
hit me. But it wasn't just that particular incident, and that's how how we know about
Mm.
the inner child. When things kind of appear suddenly,
Right.
or they're there chronically, that's a sign that there's an inner child needing to have a connection and healing.
Mm.
So I covered a bunch of things there.
Yeah.
I guess the important thing is you can have the best people as parents in the world, but because they're humans,
Yeah.
they cannot be there for you 100% of the time. And when they're not there for you 100% of the time, your needs are not seen or understood or respected. You feel alone,
Mm.
unimportant,
Mm.
unworthy, undeserving, and many other beliefs that hamper the adult. So that's kind of like, okay, that's my overall
Yeah.
view. Yeah,
And that's kind of how some of our traumas are created. And one thing I caught on while you were speaking is it made me realize that for some of us, some of the triggers that show up in our adulthood life is due to unrecognized trauma and unresolved trauma. Am I correct?
exactly. Especially in relationships,
Yeah.
especially romantic relationships, when things go wrong, you get really hurt. And you think it's because this person did something to you. And while that is true, the bigger source of your hurt is what happened to you that you did not
Ah.
know
Mhm.
or heal.
Mhm.
And this is why romantic relationships or any kind of intimate relationships, in marriages, for example, you get triggered all the time, but you think it's the other person and you blame, you argue, and all of that, not realizing that you're carrying wounds that they touch.
Mhm.
And as long as they aren't healed,
Mhm.
you
They're going to
cannot
keep showing
run
up.
away. Yes, you can't run away.
Yeah, yeah. And even if you say, okay, well, it's this person who's bringing that out in me, you can leave that and be with another person and it will still be there
Exactly.
because the work that you need to do is on you.
Exactly. I tried to figure out how I got into my first marriage, which was
You're still
a
trying to figure that
total
one out?
disaster. It was a total disaster looking back. And
Okay.
the reason why I was seduced
Okay.
was because
I can't imagine that one, but okay.
is because inside I didn't believe I was good enough. So
Right.
anyone who paid attention to me got my attention. Oh my goodness, they see something in me, they appreciate me and all of this. So it was like, and I got sucked into that.
Yeah.
And this person was a charmer, which
Mm.
is how so often women,
Mhm.
especially, get
Mhm.
involved because I was married to a narcissist. A narcissist knows
Mm.
how to play all the music and get you to do what they want you to do. And
And
you're
you hit it. You hit the button because I think I've shared with you that I too was involved with a narcissist. So what you're saying there, just you hit it. You hit the point while you were speaking. And that's you and I speaking together openly. And imagine when you're speaking with other people, especially those who you're coaching and working with closely, it hits. That's a trigger right there. I know I'm aware of it. So I'm like, I'm aware of it and I know it. So it's not getting me into a spiral where I kind of lose myself. I recognize it because I've been doing the work. I've been doing
right.
the healing.
And the work, when you say you do the work, the one of the very basic things I always teach is we need to grow our awareness.
Mm.
When we become aware, oh, this is familiar,
Mm.
or oh, I feel like that regarding this person and that person. What's happening here?
Mm.
Without that awareness, you walk blindly, just stumbling and stumbling and stumbling.
Yep.
So, one of the first things I teach my clients and the people in my course is to build awareness,
Mm.
which can only come when you take time for yourself to reflect.
Yes.
So that when you've done that enough, you walk around with awareness of what the Buddhists call mindfulness,
Mm-hmm.
so that you're aware, oh, this hurts, or oh, that's really pleasurable, and it's connected to this. Just being aware, it's like taking the blindfolds off in
Yes.
life and being able to see. And without awareness, it is very hard to change, very hard to grow, for sure.
And let me tell you something. Is it possible that we can be too aware that we wish that we weren't aware? Because I can tell you, it happened to me after I've been studying the narcissistic behaviors and toxic patterns in general and understanding human behavior and psychology and the root cause and the shadow work and all of that stuff. I've come to a point where I can pick out the behavior, especially in people that are close in my world, in my circle, people I've known for, let's say, the majority of my life. And I start to see the patterns of the behavior and I go, oh, that's toxic. Oh, that's narcissistic. Oh, that and it drives me crazy sometimes because I'm like, am I surrounded by narcissists? Is everyone around me narcissistic? What is going on?
Got two responses for you.
Please,
Okay.
please.
One is you're too much in your head. When
Mm,
you start categorizing and naming things out there, patterns and so forth, it's your head doing the job.
yeah.
And that's another,
Trauma response?
bigger pardon?
Trauma response?
No, well, it is a trauma response, but
Mm,
it's a way of being in the world, which is how it is in this world, in this civilization, because the thinking mind is so high on the pedestal. We feel that if you're really bright and you think through and you fix things with your mind, you'll get ahead. But the truth is, all the thinking mind can do is analyze and take things apart. They can't bring things together. Only your heart can. And that's why this overemphasis on noticing all these patterns out there is not productive for you. And it is a trauma response because when the young child was alone, they didn't have anything but the mind. Their heart was broken. They couldn't go there. So they said, okay, I've got my mind. I'm going to use it. And I know this because I prized my intellect for 50 years at least until I finally got the message. I'm getting you anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one part. The other part to look at is the shadow work. When you see a lot of repetition out there, a lot of this, a lot of that, and so forth, you had to say, what is it in me that I need to accept because I'm projecting it out there for people to embody? And at first it's kind of scary work, but the beauty of being freed from the shadow, the projection. Okay, so back up a little. The idea is perception is projection, so that the way you see the world is a reflection of what's inside you. The more that is darkness inside you, the more there is darkness out there. So those who blame Musk and Trump and all of that on the craziness they have and all of that stuff, you need to say, why is that? And if you're bothered by it, you can see it. And when you're bothered by it, that's the clue. And then you say, okay, what piece in me have I not owned that has to be embodied in me? Jung said, that which you don't claim is embodied out there. And once you own it, it's there, but it's like, okay, it's there. So those are two of my responses.
No, it's beautiful. You taught me something very important just right here, which is the fine line. There's a fine line between observing, noticing, paying attention, and then how you respond to it, how you internalize it. What are you projected? What is it in me that I need to work on? Why does it feel that way? And that, to continue the point I was saying earlier, thank you, of course, for what you just taught me right now, is, I've noticed the behaviors and the people around me that are narcissistic because that's been my subject, right? That's been my trauma that I've been healing from, let's say, the majority of my life, right? So it's not like it's something simple. It was the heaviest thing for me. I mean, no wonder I'm doing the healing train, right? And no wonder my subject is narcissism. And that's what I talk about. So because I talk about it a lot, it's in my energy field. And that's why.
But when you realize that narcissists are all about themselves, right? Getting their way but when you think about yourself, how much are you getting your way? How much do you have a way that you want to claim rather than turn over to? Owning our selfishness is very important, because if we don't do that, we're blind and think, we're here, we're generous, there's nothing wrong with me. So
it's taking our power back. And that's seriously. That's exactly what it boils down to. So we observe it. We are self-aware. These are all great things. Doing the shadow work, trying to figure out what's in me. And then that's what the way we respond now is we respond with our heart, not with our mind, just like you were saying earlier, right? With my heart, I'm going to have acceptance. I'm going to have love. And if I'm able to do the steps of forgiveness, not for the other person, but for me, all those steps, all that work that we reach to, And it doesn't bother us anymore. We just recognize that's their journey. If they are acting, behaving, being, narcissistic and living in those patterns, they have their lessons to learn. It actually has nothing to do with me.
Right.
I need to now recognize what is my journey. What are my lessons that I need to learn? And why was I attracted, or I attracted to me those situations, those relationships, those people that were toxic, because there was something in me that needed to heal. And for me, that was profound when I got to that point. And it was just recent, just a few years ago, when I had to confront myself with that ugly truth that what is it in me? Because I repeated the same thing over and over and over. So it's not the people, it is me,
Yeah,
right?
you're the common factor you bring to all
I am the
relationships.
common denominator between all of those things. Absolutely. And that was profound for me. And bringing it back again to our discussion about healing unresolved inner childhood wounds, how do that contribute to, on a bigger scale, generational trauma? Can we
Well,
break the cycle for future generations? Is the
when
key.
I work with my clients, it's so clear that the generational, even just the grandparents. So I hear, oh, my father had a horrible grandmother, or I mean, father or mother, and they were very abused.
Mm.
Well, if we looked at the grandparents' story, we get the same story. Generations pass on their pain, however they express it to their family. And if the family doesn't resolve it, they pass it on to their children. That put me to a whole other subject about the parental situations we're observing with my partner's children who are in their 40s.
Okay.
So their children are like 8 and under.
Okay.
And they have very poor parents. They don't know how to set boundaries. The kids rule the nest. When they don't get their way, they throw tantrums, become very difficult. And so the parents are mollifying and taking care. I don't know what wounds that they had, but it's kind of like they're going backwards instead of a parent setting the boundary and saying, no, that is not okay. No matter how you kick and scream, I'm here, but it's not okay. They cannot do that. They have to coddle or whatever. So it passes on, So how will they grow up? They'll pass it on. So we've got that within a family. And it's wonderful to feel that you can be in a place that you're stopping that cycle by doing the work. Because once you do the work, at least from a healing perspective, not only are you healed, but because we're all connected, the healing moves up to your parents, your grandparents, and so forth. So it's very important work. We do it for ourselves, but another level, we do it for everyone. And then you can bring into that in the healing work that I do to notice that the sense of imbalance or power over comes from our society, which is patriarchal. I mean, all the things we see out in the corporate world, almost everywhere, it's about men and their power and their money and so forth. But it's been that way for 20,000 years. So we've got all of that in our DNA. Thich Nhat Hanh, I just recently read, he said, we carry all of our ancestors in every cell of our body. So in some ways, imagine what we're working with in dealing with our pain and trauma. We have our parents, and on and on and on. And the human 20,000 years of having men be dominant. And thank God this is the time of the rising of the divine feminine so that we can celebrate qualities of forgiveness, compassion, connection, community, and all of that, you know?
Yeah, being
And
in our
we've
feminine
got the
energy.
power of a
Yeah.
shift behind us. It is very enlivening work because the more you do, the more energy you have access to, right?
And we're shifting
Yeah,
the energy around
yeah,
us, and we're making room and space for the new generations as well, right? We're paving the way.
exactly. Right, right. So there's more space inside us and around us.
That's beautiful. A brief stop at a station. If you have a story to share and feel called to tell it, if you want to share your expertise on this show, please send an email to guest@healingtrain.ca. To join me on a journey of healing and recovery, connect with me. My calendar link is in the description. This show is proudly sponsored by Say It Out Loud GG, led by the inspiring Judith Diaz, an avid change maker and passionate advocate for speaking up and raising awareness. The Healing Train podcast is honored to have her support. Now let's get back to the show. And earlier you were talking about how when we don't heal some of our childhood wounds, it impacts our romantic relationships. And you mentioned a little in some ways how it does. But it also affects our friendships, and it affects our relationships at work, our neighbors, you name it, any kind of relationship, right?
Right.
It also affects our ability to set boundaries, I would say, right? Can we talk a little bit more about that?
I'm preparing for a master class tomorrow on igniting your power or something like that. And
Okay.
has all the focus is on anger. And because anger is such an uncomfortable, difficult experience to experience in ourselves and in other people, we tend to avoid it, run away from it, thinking it's something nasty. And we don't have the kind of culture, parenting, schools that cares much about emotions. What they care about is the intellect, back to the other predominance of the intellect, you know?
Yep.
And so we grow up, what I call in the trial and error, on how we deal with our feelings. And if something's uncomfortable, the natural response is push it away. Don't go near that. And anger, especially, can feel too strong. And when it's coming out of somebody uncontained at all, it would be the bullies of the world actually beating you up or calling you names and so forth. And all of this hurts. And you actually would have an angry response. But in a situation like that, where you feel powerless, you don't access that anger. You see in certain scenes that some kids won't take it. They're being bullied and they won't have it. And they push back and get beat up some more. But they're saying, no, you don't get to do this. But most of us cower in the face of that kind of bullying. And so that anger is buried.
Suppressed.
Yes, suppressed, avoided, denied. Even now, when I get irritated, which is my quiet way of being angry, I go, oh, okay, I'm irritated. And just to recognize that the feeling is there, just like the inner child, when you feel rejected and kind of depressed, that's a sign of the inner child. When you become accustomed to seeing that, seeing and recognizing and accepting anger or an inner child, is the beginning of healing,
Mm-hmm.
because you cannot heal what you do not see,
Mm-hmm.
right? Another way of noticing the inner child besides feelings are the beliefs. Almost everyone goes around and admit at some time they don't feel good enough. As much as they accomplish at work, A's in school, getting all the awards and stuff, they feel somehow a phony, a pretender syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
because they have this inner child that had such basic experience of not feeling good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that is such a deep wound
Mm-hmm.
that it takes that kind of healing. All the affirmations in the world,
Yeah.
Put up there, I am powerful, I am blah, 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 all over. You can look and think that for months and months. And I guess this is really important, I guess, in terms of the work I do. The work ultimately cannot be done only on the conscious level, because our subconscious holds 95% of everything that influences us in this very moment, what we hear, what we take in, what we see. And in that subconscious are all the painful memories, all the traumas, all the beliefs of lack of worth, of being alone, which is a huge one, believing that I am the sole being unconnected to anybody. That's a real huge human trauma, because we want to feel connected. We have to feel connected. So we can find these beliefs that we have and say, I want to change them, but you cannot do it on the conscious level. And that's why so much of my work involves the subconscious. Using means to engage the subconscious, using a method, which is MAP, Make Anything Possible, where we train the subconscious to treat trauma parts. So in the process of doing this, an issue is there or the memory is there, we ask superconscious, please treat all the trauma associated with this, the pain of it, the disempowering beliefs and strategies and rules and so forth. So we do the work. And it's quick and deep work. And that's the beauty of working with the subconscious. And that's why I teach and do the work, because you can point out all the troubles. You can even point out the source. But if you don't have a way of truly resolving things, you've only done half the work. So I'm glad I got that point in about the subconscious work is very, very important to do.
Well, it's interesting, Anne, because I created last year an affirmation line, which is what you mentioned earlier, that I am this and I am that. My mission was to have people connect by that part of them, that I am enough, I am lovable. And you're right, it is on the, let's call it a surface level. You're saying it's the conscious level, so I'll just use a layman term for it and say it's more on the surface level. And that's not what we're asking people to be consumed by, the surface level work, which is you have the poster that, for example, I've created, and just like repeating words. It's not about the repetition of words, although with the repetition, you start to believe it. And that's another thing that we can discuss. You can't just depend on the repetition of words. You have to believe it for it to be true, right? So if you don't believe deep down and you have those memories in your DNA and in your cell that you're not good enough, no matter how much affirmation you read that says, I am good, I am lovable, it's just on the surface level. The deeper wound that hasn't healed yet, the subconscious work that hasn't been done yet, will surface. It will take precedent to the surface work. that we are doing. So I'm glad that you mentioned it, simply because there are a lot of people out there who depend on the affirmations that they're just saying, yeah, I'm doing my affirmations every day and I'm doing my meditations. And it became a to-do list. Like it's just something you're doing as a practice, but what's it really doing for you? What are the other internal deep work that you're doing on you to match the outer work? It's two levels, I say, the inner part, the deep part, and the outer part. And when they match, that's when you're really getting there. You're going to see results, I should say. Please, you can comment on what I just mentioned.
It's very hard to criticize the efforts that people are putting in terms of wanting things to change. And it's no fault of theirs that I don't know how many tens of thousands of new coaches get born, available on the internet month by month, year by year. I mean, it is a booming business.
Yeah.
And these people have what they're taught. And there's only so much that you can be taught in a 6-month period or something like this. And this is why some with my length of experience of over 40 years really see what is needed to create a shift. And to move into the work of the subconscious, it's not only the way that I work. And that is why when you talked about believing more and more, and suddenly there's something that accepts that inside you that can actually create a shift. For me, I would describe it as, well, there are three things actually. One is using imagination. When you visualize, you're in the space of imagination. And if you can completely move into that space, you're in the space of all possibilities. That is the space of the subconscious. So when you can do that work that deeply, something can shift for you deeply beyond the conscious level. That's one thing. Another thing is using intuition. So we talked about the heart, we talked about the head. We have not spoken about the intuition, which has been my guide since 9 years ago. And the story is I had been on the surface of life fine. Nothing bothered me.
Just sailing through, right?
Absolutely. And then intuition broke through as I was trying to write a chapter in the book. And the phrase came, listen to the cries of your heart. And I never heard anything like that. I don't know whether it was a voice or what it was, but it went. So pen and paper, I started writing, which became my beginning of my personal journey to heal my heart. So intuition had a way of breaking through for me. And intuition has a way of breaking through for many people in terms of synchronicities, hunches, gut reaction. But they don't realize the treasure that they have, because that is a connection with the greater being. It's a connection with greater wisdom. But they think, that's kind of fun. But the more you treasure it, the more you align yourself with the greater being and the divinity. So that's another way. When you connect at that level with something much bigger than you, it puts you at a level that you can begin to make deep shifts for yourself, such as when you know how to move into deep gratitude, you move into an elevation. or if you can move into stillness in the now. You have left all that past future worries behind. You're in the space of creating life. That's where life is. So these practices can get you to a place where you can make some deeper shift.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll just stop there.
No, that was beautiful, Anne. That was really beautiful. I'm feeling everything you just said. Really, I'm feeling it.
Wonderful.
And
Oh, that's the other thing. When I'm here, I'm not here.
mm,
I'm kind of here as a personality,
mhm,
but I intend to be the voice of intuition or the greater being.
mhm.
So, what needs to be said, how it needs to be said, just come forward. When I do my master classes, I have a script. I look at the script and I forget about the script. I cannot follow a script because
Because the
intuition,
intuition takes over.
yeah, takes over, and there we go.
And that's where magic happens.
Exactly, exactly.
I'd like us to create some magic on this episode today. And if you would be so kind to take us on a little journey, on a guided meditation of your choosing, just for a few minutes, where
Very
perhaps
happy to do
we
that.
can create a shift for someone out there who, whoever needs to whoever needs to benefit from this will be listening to this episode and it will be meant for them. I know this with all my heart. So I would
Perfect.
leave the floor to you where you guide us through. But before we do, I do want to have a disclaimer for anyone who is driving, listening to this podcast. Please do not close your eyes and focus on being safe and driving. You could come back to the section again of the episode and benefit from it by closing your eyes and being deep with it. But for now, if you are driving, just listen. And if you are at home listening to this and can gain from the full benefit, it would be a good idea to completely immerse yourself in the experience that Anne is about to guide us through. Take it away, Anne. I'm right here.
Thank you. We do close our eyes because we want to not be distracted by things in front of us. And once you close your eyes, begin paying attention to your breath. Feel the air that is your breath in your body. Because when you do that, the next breath becomes deeper. It's like magic. Focusing on your breathing allows you to breathe even more deeply so you can begin to feel the air in your abdomen expanding on inhalation, on collapsing, on exhalation. This is a process where we're aligning with our physiology to make breathing do its best job to bring the oxygen needed by every cell of the body. So notice as we do this that there is quiet both in the mind and in the body. You can almost feel a stillness. And maybe with your eyes closed, you can begin to imagine vast darkness all around. You have now entered the space of imagination, the place where artists, musicians, creatives go to and claim their bits that they find here. We're going to use this space to create an interaction between you and an inner child. Don't worry about who that child will be, but just see yourself in this empty space and think of a number right now. And whatever that number is, hopefully below 6, That is the age of your inner child. So if you can't see, pretend. That's what imagination is. It's pretending. So pretending that you can see this 4-year-old, perhaps little one, and see yourself approaching this young you. And as you approach quietly and gently, you want to make yourself being seen by this little one. And let her know that you're her adult, a future her. Her all grown up, I guess is the best way to express it. And you're here because you know that she feels alone and you want to change that. So present a very gentle, kind presence to your little one. Look at her, look at him in the eyes, projecting as much compassion, presence, and love that you can. Caring. And in the dialogue you create, either in your mind or say out loud to him or her, say, whatever hurt you wasn't your fault. You are not to blame. Although instinctively this is what you believe, that you're to blame. It's all your fault. But the truth is, you are innocent. And something very painful happened to you. And you felt and feel all alone, except for now. I am here with you to provide you comfort, to rub your shoulder or back or your hair, whatever is comfortable for you, to let you know I'm here and I care. So I'll be quiet for a few seconds so you can continue this interaction. Imagine it best you can. If it doesn't feel real enough, just pretend, because this is where we are in the space of imagination. At some point, you might want to say, what do you need from me? So for now, we need to conclude this. If your child is open to a hug, certainly give her a hug, him a hug, or hold the hands, your hands together, and say, if you need me, let me know, and I'll come back to you. So focusing on your breathing again, become aware of your breath and your body. And then slowly open your eyes.
And that was so powerful. I'm trying to catch myself here and my emotions. But
And we need
perhaps
to
I,
honor those emotions, right? Give
Mhm.
space for them. They're so precious.
Perhaps I needed it without realizing I needed it.
I'm so glad.
See, no matter how much work we do on ourselves, there's always another layer that needs healing. It's a journey. That's what I keep on saying. Healing is a journey.
Absolutely. A work in progress.
And this is me being real and raw, being affected by an imagination where I met my inner child. And I'll share with the audience, whoever is watching or listening, I saw the number 3. As soon as you said, imagine a number, it was 3 that popped up for me. And I know what I look like at the age of 3 because there are pictures of me at that age. So I saw myself as that little 3-year-old. And I hugged her and I reassured her that she's not alone. And what she said to me, the 3-year-old me, she said, "Don't leave me." And that's when you guided to say, whenever you need me, just ask and I'll be there. And I told her that. Part of me wants to apologize for being so emotional, but another part of me is like, no, I'm not apologizing. I'm just being me. So excuse me.
It's lovely. Your vulnerability, your openness. This is what takes to move forward, that you allow this to happen. It's beautiful.
And I'm hoping that there's someone out there who listened to your guided meditation, this beautiful journey that you took us on, that it touched them somehow, that it healed them just a little bit, that inner child in them, that interaction that we had. And I'm guessing it's something you can come back to time and time again. And maybe every time you will have a different experience. Maybe the child will be at a different age. And maybe they'll ask you something differently. But every time your answer is going to be the same. I'm here if you need me, because we always are. And we'll always show up for that inner child of whoever we are.
In my book, Listen to the Cries of Your Heart, published 8 years ago or so, I have that journey to the inner child in there. I haven't looked at it lately, but hopefully it's essentially the same. And in the book, I make references to the tapes, which are no longer connected to any website. But if anyone wants to contact me for that, they can certainly reach out to me in that way. And I haven't mentioned that in the work that I do, while I work one-to-one with individuals, and it makes my day to be able to be with people with such vulnerability and touch wounded parts of them. I am uplifted because I'm working in the realm of spirit and all possibilities, which is exhilarating. I work with groups, which is what I am now moving toward. I'm teaching master classes so people know the work and want to work with me. The last master course was 6 months, but I've extended it to 10 months. And it's called the self-love path, because ultimately we want to get to a place of self-love, not only with a small s, but with a big S, where the love is all about our divinity as well. And so that's the process I'm in, and hopefully this month I'll be able to launch this particular course. And all of that can be found on my website, which is really easy. Heal Your Heart with Dr. Anne, all some lowercase. Heal Your Heart with dranne.com, where you can get in touch with me. You can set up time where we can talk about your struggles, and I can tell you what I do that addresses it, and you can see whether you're ready, because it does take readiness to commit to investing in yourself in this way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. And I can talk from personal experience. It's only when I was ready to embark on that journey, knowing it isn't going to be pretty, knowing that I may uncover things that I'm going to wish I don't, but hey, I have to. I need to sit with it. I need to acknowledge it. I need to accept it for what it is and accept me and love me with everything. Right?
You know what? And that's the thing, that although it feels like there's so much damage, so much pain, that's not who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You are, in essence, innocent and pure. And that's what the work is about, discovering that essence that is innocent and pure.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's exhilarating when you can live from that place.
Yes. Yes. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. That's why I have the healing train for us to go on a ride. And in
Wonderful.
every ride we go on, with every guest that I have on this show, we are helping someone out there, and we're making a difference. We are the frequency.
Yes.
And we're doing that work. And we're showing up being authentic and vulnerable, because that's what it's about.
Absolutely. You know, it can be polished enough, but I love, I've had technological difficulties that you may have experienced on some
With
of my.
you? Yeah. Okay.
Right. I'm perfectly imperfect.
Yes, but you know, whoever understands that will stay on and get the message that they need to get. It's as simple as that. I loved being in your webinar, and whenever I can, I definitely will show up for the next one. You just send me the links and I'll be there.
Excellent. You are a wonderful company to have, and other souls like you.
And thank you for this beautiful conversation that was guided, let's say. It was guided from up above, from the greater source. Everything that was said on today's episode was meant to be said, and whoever is going to hear it is meant to hear it. And thank you for that guided meditation and that imagination that you took us on. And thank you for healing me while I'm holding that space for others to heal. Thank you, Anne.
A pleasure. What an honor.
Thanks for riding along with me on the healing train. I hope today's journey brought you a little more peace, insight, and maybe even a few smiles. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like and share so others can hop on board and benefit too. If you are on a healing journey and want to work with me, connect on Facebook or on Instagram at R2R Coaching. All the links are in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss a stop on the healing train journey. And until next episode, keep on healing you.